Welcome back to Our Justice Journey with Karega Bailey, Part 3, and we thank you for your continued interest in this discussion. Yes, definitely. Our next question is, why is art important for healing?
I realized that art is one of my truest ways of processing my realities,
Mm,
even without the idea that I'm creating it for consumption.
mm,
It's going to show up for me.
mhm,
And that's the fascinating part concerning my experiences with grief and my identity with angel parenthood.
mhm,
I didn't want to create anything for people to consume.
mhm,
So I intentionally sat silent, um, not to avoid creating, but
mhm.
like just to let the creator write new in me. Like I feel like if I'm speaking, then I can't be listening as closely,
Yeah.
right? So when the Most High was speaking, I was listening. But it turned into art
Mhm,
that I couldn't like kind of keep bottled in,
mhm,
Um, whether it was my rhymes, whether it was my journal entries, whether
mhm.
it was similes or metaphors, or whether I was talking about that this is a grief that has no reference,
Yeah.
right? Um, but the art is true to healing. I think it's one of the multi-layered storytelling mechanisms. I think it's so that I think what you're doing right now is storytelling. I
Mhm,
think podcast is storytelling. I think journalism is storytelling. I think music can be storytelling.
mhm,
And it's incredibly important for us to leave reference of our stories.
mm,
There are books that have not been written, and there are books that have been intentionally written to leave out our stories.
mhm,
There have been spaces that have not represented us, so we represent ourselves by our own storytelling mechanisms.
mhm,
But what it does, it leaves reference for another young journalist coming behind you, for
mhm,
another angel parent. Leaving reference is like, I think of some of our experiences can feel like despair. And let's just say you're in the ocean
mhm,
late at night and you don't know which way is the shore,
mhm,
but you hear somebody else swimming.
mhm,
That's what I think storytelling is.
mhm,
Sometimes we don't know exactly which way to go, but if you hear somebody else journeying and pressing on, it reminds you that you too can journey and press on, that
mhm,
there's still yet evolution inside of you.
mhm,
So I've become really, I mean, art has been a part of my life for, ever. But at least in storytelling in the last 15 years. And I do it because it's not just my healing, it's the collective healing.
mhm,
It's leaving reference
mhm.
of our experiences, of our stories, reference.
I really like that ideology where you're talking about, like leaving our art is almost like it's like almost to heal ourselves, but also to inspire others. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And to
Absolutely.
affect others.
I really, for real, like right now, I'm thinking about why showing up for you in this podcast is this important. I
Mhm,
wonder who you'll become to us in the world in 10 years, in 5 years.
mhm,
Like, what's the role you play in the world, and how do I show up
mhm.
um, alongside of you while you are documenting secret stories? So I'm really happy to be in this space with you because it also represents an intersectionality between generations,
Yeah.
right? So in my mind, what happens now in doing this space with you,
Mhm,
I have now been included in a framework for another generation,
mhm,
creating that intersectionality. And now this story lives in a whole new way,
mhm.
right? So I just tremendously honored to be your interviewee today. Trust me.
We thank you for listening to part 3 of our Justice Journey with Karega Bailey. And to further listen to this discussion, feel free to visit part 4.